Joe Bierwirth, who's our next guest, who's the senior litigation partner at Hemingway and Barnes. Joe is very well respected in his sphere, which is working with business litigation and probate litigation and a lot of trust and estate litigation.
And when I think of Joe and I think of him, the firm, I think of handling the type of cases that most attorneys would want to get, the type of people.
Correct, as well
Right.
as keeping important people out of the news.
Keeping important people out of the news and taking care of important people.
Correct.
Right. Which is not Mark and I, so we're not that important.
But we
Happy to
feel
help anytime, any way I can.
Thanks for making us feel important.
Joe, expand upon what we started, please.
Sure. So you're familiar with Hemingway and Barnes.
I am.
Absolutely.
I know you are. We're the oldest law firm in Boston, and we're really a full-service firm. We cater to private client group for the most part. So we would help individuals, families, small businesses, nonprofits. We can provide a range of services dealing with corporations, with their business issues, with their real estate issues, disposing of real estate, acquiring real estate, et cetera, conservation purposes, whatever it may be. We also do litigation, and my work is primarily in the litigation field. I also do estate planning and serve as a trustee. But the litigation that I'm involved in, as you mentioned, is primarily business litigation and then probate litigation.
Right.
So working with families who find themselves in probate court, a dispute over an estate, anything having to do with a trust matter. So it could be reformation of a trust to get a better result for a family for tax purposes, or working over the interpretation of a trust and how it should be construed by a court in order to benefit the people who the trust is intended to benefit.
Excellent. Well, I just also want to note that when you talk about probate and working with people in these areas, you work with very high net worth individuals. So it's not just a simple trust or a simple estate. And when you get involved in litigation, probate litigation, it's the highest of levels. And I think that expertise, and you can speak to that, is it sets you apart in your field.
We do. Ordinarily, the cases that we're involved in do have quite a bit at stake. And as you suggest, it's not only the monetary value that's at stake, but what we try to do is we try to fashion a result and work with a client in order to achieve whatever their goals might be. And oftentimes their goals would be to, as you mentioned, keep things private. Obviously,
Right.
if things get to a court fight, it's difficult to keep things private, but we do our best, and we're able to handle a lot of things discreetly outside of the court process. And even the skills that I've developed as a litigator, we put those to use to try to structure settlements or to try to avoid disputes, and to try to handle things in a way that really reaches all of the goals of the client.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, what's interesting about your firm, because you specialize in, again, you work with a lot of very successful private companies and individuals, you can take that advisory role too. So ultimately, you're right, you are a litigator, but every step of the way, whether it's a family business or whether it's different types of businesses, you have that counseling role. And you understand, I mean, we've been at seminars that you've been part of, that you not only tell, you're not about just what is the litigation. You're somebody that anticipates, and your firm works that way.
Well, thank you. I agree, and it is actually a great benefit as a litigator to have that sort of expertise within the firm. So when these issues come up as to what is the fiduciary standard, what is best practices for a trustee, how can we fashion something to create the best tax outcome here for a family, I don't need to go out and hire independent experts. I have experts down the hall that I can use for the client's betterment. For instance, we've handled cases where we have represented trustees, either institutional trustees or family members who find themselves in the position of serving as trustees for the next generation. And we're able to quickly bring to bear that expertise because that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what I do when I'm wearing a different hat. So we're able to sort of speak with them and speak with opposing counsel. And we like to think that we speak with some authority to the courts on what is the proper standard for a trustee. Say, for instance, on discretionary distributions and the use of principle from a trust to keep a widow in the customary lifestyle.